Oh, what's this then? It's apparently doing 372. Shall we get inside? What is this? Is this broken silica gel or something? Yes, that's what's been rolling about. Okay, we'll not concern ourselves as to why the cap's currently off, but let's get this. Oh, it's tie wrapped in. It's tie wrapped in. Very good. Move this. Oh, it's got a rotary. Okay, let's have a look. Rotary, yeah? I did not expect it to have a rotary. High cap. Serial numbers. Can add one of them on there. That's good. Oh, that is solid. Operating the switch will cause scratch. Damn right it does. Oh. A good action that though. That's a weird wood effect. Slightly different from the... It's plastic. It's definitely plastic, but... That's interesting. They didn't have to do that. This is apparently wood. I kind of damaged it a little bit here because I'm stupid. That was me. I don't think that bit was me though. Yeah, I mean, it's... Might not be amazing wood, but that is metal. I'm knocking on things, it's so great. Metal, 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 metal. So it's got some good weight to it. I do like my AEGs to have a good weight to them. So let's do some stuff then to it. Let's look a little closer at this sheet. We can see the average, I believe the UK limit is 374 or something like that. Site limits are generally under 350, so regardless, it can't be used. But 372, 378, 375. You got 378 here, 376, whatever. So average it works, but fucking hell. But their limit is 380, 1.3 joule. So regardless, I'm going to be sticking an M100 in it, so it's legal. But let's do straight out of the box. Lipo 7.4. We'll do 7.4. That is on about 70%. So this is actually going to be the first time I fire this. And we got it on safe. Nice and stiff. Auto. What's that mean? It's catching a bit of overspin. All right, let's do the do la la diligence. Should be exactly same on a 7.4 Lion. Let's get that out of the way. Let's do a 9.9 Life-E. Auto. Bit quicker, as you would imagine. And then we'll do an 11.1. Ooh, that is... Yeah, that's very, very aggressive. And a very small burst on that. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't know how that's going to sound through this microphone or whatever, or how it's going to sound, but to me, right now, that sounds okay. It is definitely naughty power, so I'm going to have to change that anyway. Does that click in? I have clickies? No? Fucking honest. There you go. That's the one. I do that all the way there. See, I don't know which way this wants to be. Ah, we got numbers on it. That's very helpful. If I do that, I keep going. I can just keep fucking spinning that cunt. So, am I looking at the number there? Or am I looking at the number here? Because if you're going to do this, you're probably looking here, right? So, that mark there, maybe? So, if I put that there, that's no hop. Right? Yeah, okay. So, I'll put that back over here. Put it on 1, I guess. Interesting. Does that not want to... Oh, the bar only goes back here. Is there a hole for it to go in there? No. Oh, okay. Normally with an AK, you've got a hole in here, so that spring bar braces inside the actual gun. That is just kind of braced right here. Let's unscrew this so we can have a nicer look at So, definitely plastic, but I do like the effect they put on this. That is nice. That's a nice touch. They didn't have to do that. They could have just put a normal one on there. Looks like a basic motor. No writing on it that I can see from here. Bearing bushing. I'm going to assume, because I can't quite see them, that is going to be all-round bearing bushing, which could explain some of the overspin. But yes, let's put that back together and let's give it a good test then, shall we? Actually, you know what? Let's chrono it. So, I don't have twos. I believe they tested it on twos. Yeah, they tested it on twos with an X-Cortex X3200. Same one, mate. Woo! But they've got a Mark III. I don't know what Mark mine is. It works as far as I'm aware. So, 2.5s. I don't particularly know many people who use twos anymore. Even the rentals usually use 2.5s. So, 2.5s. We're going to put it on a 7.4 just because we're putting it on a 7.4. Now, potentially, this 7.4 Lion will sit in there when I'm testing because it is that kind of shape. It does seem to have good divot on that. For now, I'm literally just going to do that. So, let's test if this fires. It certainly does. Sounds a bit different when it's firing though. I don't know if that's because I've fucked with the hop. Let's have a go. 1.71 joule. What bloody chrono are they using? What? Did they have it on max hop or something? That's concerning. What was that? 370, 1.65 joules. 378.1. 422 FPS. I'm concerned they don't know how to read a chrono. I don't know. Because if I look at that and go, oh, 378. Well, yeah, that technically says 378. But 1.33 joule? Don't think so. Fuck, you know. I mean, it did come from America, so maybe they didn't actually test on 0.2s, they just said they did. I tested on 2.5s, and now we're getting similar results as what's on that sheet, but it's a 2.5. No. That's probably why it sounds like that when it's fucking firing. I think it might have actually locked up because it realised, oops. Yeah. Knowing that it's shooting that power, I don't particularly want to test fire it. I should. So, if you were wondering, how is it out the box? Great for the American market. I'm sure they have like 450 FPS for their AEGs. It would definitely need probably an 11.1 to help cycle that though. Or at least the 9.9. Maybe a high top motor, because I'm pretty sure there's like an M120 in there at this point. Well, okay. So essentially, I'm trying to have a look. We got one thing there. And we got, I don't know if you can see, that looks pretty rough on the inside, but easy enough to get a bit of sandpaper on. But that does mean, let's say I put, I don't know, one of these in there. It means I can run the wires out the back. And then we can have the battery in the back, which, look at all that space for activities. Failing that, like, if I don't, then you can always put battery up here. Meanwhile, this thing, trying to figure out a way to get that cap off without scratching the shit out of it. That was glued on? Was it fucking glued on? You fuck. Makes sense though. Yes, that's definitely glued the cap on. Alright. Oh, there is definitely a bar under it that is screwing into. Yep. There we go. ENL style. Sure. Which that should. Oh, nice spring on. Yep. Spring on that barrel. That's different. It's got a nice big spring. Big spring on that. Oh, it's backwards. That is scratched in as well. Okay. Looks shiny. Bearing bushings. Movement. No. Tiny bit of movement on that. Ooh, quick change. Quick change. Very good. That is very good. Very, 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 very good. So, that is insanely fucking good that that's quick change. Ooh. Ooh. That is a nice nozzle. 20mm nozzle. Good to know. That is a 20mm nozzle. That is an alloy nozzle as well. Even though it's got AK like etched into it. Ah, see, it rides up on that there, look. Right there. It has to get over that. Interesting. There we go. Bearing spring guide. That is a steel rack piston though. So it does look upgraded. That looks like, is that a bearing piston head? Does it go that way up or that way up? That sounds so much healthier, so much happier. Oh my god, cool. What we got now, yeah? I need to wind my mag more. But that's legal! 310, 1.1 joule, 108, 108, 104, 109, 1.1, 109, 106, 108, 108. That is also sounding so much happier. So we got an average of 108. 341 FPS, which is no hop. We always do no hop first, but 340 FPS. So I think the highest that went up was 1.11, which is 345 and a half or whatever. So the compression system is upgraded. I don't know about the gears yet. I might crack it open since there's no thing anyway and give it a service and do the other bits. But to be fair, that was nice and consistent. Relatively speaking, like for an out of the box gun in chrono, that was nice and consistent. So that's nice. And it does sound. Still catching a bit of overspin. Again, likely. I would want to attribute that to its all bearing bushings, but maybe they stuck 13 to 1s in this thing. I don't know. Auto. So now I take it for a test shot. Test fire. Set the hop for 2 5s. Because I believe that will be the bare minimum that people are going to be using. And then see what the hop is, how the hop works, like, if it's any good. It looks like a TDC, to be fair. Or at least a hybrid TDC. So we got little notches on the side. That is going to be interesting to see if that... Because I can see it's off kilter already. Like, you can, if I would do that, like that straight, you can just see that nub is slightly skewed. Does seem to want to tilt forward a little bit. Still, a rotary with like a hybrid TDC-ish thing. Interesting. They seem to have put a decent bit of work into this. Or at least thought into it. Like, that's channeled out so you could very easily stick the wires down there and run a nice big battery. If you don't want to deal with the tube ones, you want to put something like that in. That'll fit in back of there, no worries. And compression upgrade, very nice. Let's see how it shoots. So as you can see there, I have, you know, we see what we want to see, I guess. Accidentally shot a penis, but that was probably from about, I want to say about 50, probably about 50 meters, not meters, feet, bloody hell. But that is consistent, so that's good. So that actually shoots pretty good. We're going to go off what that arrow is. That is pointing at number 5. So that's about half the hop to hop a 2.5. So I'm going to guess that's like a basic nub in there or something. So maybe a mega nub would give it a bit more push, but it'll probably shoot 2.5s, 2.8s pretty easy. 3s might be a chore. Anything higher than that, you're going to have to change some bits out on this. But that did shoot pretty nicely. Now, let's chrono it with it set for 2.5s. 0.86, 0.87, 0.89, 0.87, 0.91, 0.86, 0.83, 0.86, 0.84, 0.89. Okay, right, so 0.89 0.9 is 311. 0.89, 309.5. 0.86 was the most common, so 305. So 305 when set for 2.5s. When I set it for 2.5s, it might be that, you know, over the distance that is overhopping, but I got that consistently shooting, I think it's about 40, 50 feet. Relatively short to short medium range that I can test fire at. However, that's absolutely fine with me. I'm going to put the things back together and then finish this off. Maybe I do more to this. We'll see. We'll see. Alright, so now it's time to concern ourselves with why this was off in the box. And it's because that doesn't sit right to actually put that on. If that doesn't flick up to catch that, that's never going to stay on, right? Got it. I'll show you in a minute. You can get a tubey style battery in there. I would be a bit concerned. You can kind of see the battery through there. So, and, you know, through there. So you can kind of see it through that bit as well while it's in use. So, maybe. I would possibly say it would have been better if this was rear wired. And I would be concerned that you pulling this back has a chance to scratch that battery, and you don't particularly want to be scratching up a battery. This plastic bit that goes on the back of the spring guide, make sure that is vertical, otherwise it interferes with that being able to go down. That was the issue. Good to know. Turns out the customer wants an hybrid in it, so we get to confirm the internals. Ain't you lucky? Ooh. And I'm also going to give it a service while it's open because, yeah. Damn! Trying to get that off. Normal, you know, chisel method. But trying to get the spades off of here, I mean, nicer problems to have. They were not coming off anytime soon. Bloody hell, they were on. Very tight. Anyway, let's open it. Looks like standard gears. I can see an alloy piston head there. So let's have a look. One shim right there. No shim. One shim on the top of that. We have got a steel rack piston. Oh yeah. High performance. Double bell version. Okay. Sure. Oh, it's a double one. Personally, I want to take that off so I can grind that tooth down, but let's not fuck too much with it. Looks like standard gears. Yeah, that is a standard set. Oh, was that one shim either side of the bevel? We have one shim on the bottom of the sector. Did we have one on the top? Yeah, we had one on the top. So one either side. One. Is that a shim? No. So no shims at all on the spur gear. We're going to change that, so don't worry. This is, I'm guessing, one of theirs. We've got standard cylinder head. That is O-ring. O-ring nozzle. Yep. O-ring nozzle. See, look. Absolutely great air seal. No fucking problem with that. That's coming out. That's coming out. That's coming out. Cool. Oh, what is that? Is that a bit of solder that's dropped on there? Interesting. Alright, that is that out without cutting it for once, because sometimes I'm just a little bit lazy. Yep, that is still intact. And now we get to put that on. Yeah. Right, that is the Perinin. Delightfully purple, as one would expect. Got that set up. Bang on. Now to do the servicey stuff and shim it and all that loveliness. Yeah. Oh, as an additional, these are 8mm. Just in case you were wondering. 8mm. So, what I have done is very carefully took enough of that tooth off. So even if I push that down, it will just slide by. A little closer look there. Just enough. Ideally, that should be flush. But that motherfucker is thread locked onto high shit. And I don't really want to damage this trying to get the fucker off. I don't really want to heat it up. That will do fine. Safe. Semi. And 3-round burst. There you go. Decock. I'll tell you one thing. That is a weak ass anti-reversal latch spring in there. So if it get overspin, I'd still attribute it a little bit to these bearing bushings, but yeah, that anti-reversal latch is weak. Yeah, right, let's put it together. This is the full length that pairing gives you of the cable, and it should come out to just past the full length of that stock, and it's getting wired in the stock. Yeah, cool. Huh. Okay, I spent a bit too long negotiating with the wires and making sure that the sensor was in the right place. Shifted it a couple of times, but now it's as good as it's going to be. You can see here it is rear wired, so we put it on safe and it does that. We have safe, we have semi, and we have 3-round burst. Sometimes it 3-round bursts on semi. It decided it wanted to behave. Thank you. And then decock. They've also put a maple leaf omega nub in there, to which it no longer goes to 10 anymore. It goes to about 8 and then it just stops. So I'm hoping that means it only needs 1 or 2 on the hop instead of 5 to hop a 2.5, and then same performance. So now I just need to go into it, make sure I haven't somehow massively introduced more FPS to this thing by shimming it properly, putting a MOSFET in. Yeah. Right, 7.4, 2.5s, and it's on 1. So last time it did about 340 to 345 with no hop, or the hop was on 1, I believe. And then it dropped to, what, 315 or something like that with the hop set for 2.5s. 310, I think, something like that. 0.97 joule, 0.95 joule, 0.95 joule, 0.91 joule. So that's about the average then. 0.91 joule is 313. So 306 to 313. So we will see how that shoots. That could possibly be because I have put a stronger nub in there, so it's applying enough pressure from the get-go, so it's already set. Whereas the other one needed about half the hop just to hop a 2.5. So we shall see how it shoots. So my hunch was correct. I have done nothing else to the hop. It's on 1. It's set for 2.5s. So I have settled on changing the standard motor out for an E&L high torque. This is it on a 7.4. Yeah, there's the difference. Yeah, so let's do the battery test then. So this is on a 7.4, 3-round, 9.9, Lifey. $11.1 LiPo. Naturally, it cycles quicker, snappier on the 11.1. But you can definitely hear it's catching a bit of an overspin, which, if you're not really bothered about that sound, but you're more bothered about the actual cycle, then go with an 11.1. 9.9's fine. I always say if you can use the 7.4, use the 7.4. And just to be fair, 7.4 Lion. Yeah, I don't think that Lion's very good. Let's try the other Lion I've got. So I am thinking that one's a bit fecked. I think we'll leave it there. Just need to do one more thing. Boop. So from stock, pretty nice. I would definitely say if you're going to put a MOSFET in this, wire it to back. If you're keeping this, that is. You could possibly put buffer tube stock on there and, you know, do some other stuff with it. However, yeah, the pictures for this on the listing do not give it justice. Like, it looks crappier on pictures, definitely. But that is nice. Double bell, and it's upgraded. Yeah.